What's going on, everybody? This is Luke from South Beach Sports, and today I'm going to recap the Miami Dolphins 2021 NFL draft class. Now, the Dolphins drafted 7 players, including 5 players in the first 3 rounds, so I'm just going to give my thoughts and opinions on each pick and just project what type of career each player will have for the Dolphins. So with the 6th overall pick, the Dolphins selected wide receiver Jalen Waddle from Alabama. He is 5'10", 183 pounds, and he had a very successful 6-game run in the 2020 season with Alabama. In 6 games, he had 28 catches and 591 receiving yards to go along with 4 touchdowns. And he just displayed an incredible amount of quickness. He's a gadgety, explosive playmaker. He can stretch defenses vertically. I am very, very curious to see how the Dolphins will use both Will Fuller and Jalen Waddle in the offense, as those are 2 guys who can score on any play, especially downfield. Something cool that Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reported after the Dolphins selected Waddle was that on their big board, the Dolphins had Trevor Lawrence as their number 1 prospect and Jalen Waddle as their number 2 prospect. I think everyone kind of assumed that the Dolphins' favorite offensive weapons in this year's draft were both Jamar Chase and Kyle Pitt in no order. So I'm really not sure the validity of that statement, but I think it's very interesting to see how much the Dolphins valued Jalen Waddle in that pre-draft process. So with the 18th overall selection, the Dolphins picked Jalen Phillips, the defensive end from Miami. He stands in at 6'5" and weighs 266 pounds. He actually came into Miami weighing around 220. He originally committed to play at UCLA. He was the number 1 overall prospect, but unfortunately he had to medically retire due to concussions. He then pursued a career in music, so that's why he lost some weight and really was not at that current playing weight he's at now. But once he was cleared to play, he then transferred to Miami, bulked up, and became an absolute monster, racking up 8.5 sacks last year in his only season in Miami. So as a Miami Hurricane fan, I have a pretty good idea of Jalen Phillips' skill set and what he will bring to the Dolphins. So he's a very clean pass rusher with a multitude of power and finesse moves at his disposal. He has the athleticism to just speed by off the edge of offensive tackles, but he's also very smart and he has a lot of counter moves at his disposal. One counter move that I like in particular is a very clean swim move that he does that allows him to rush on the inside of offensive tackles through the B gap. And when you're just rushing the edge of offensive tackles the whole game, they take note of this. So when he has these counter moves that he can just spin off of or swim through, it just changes the game and it makes him so much more of a dangerous pass rusher. Phillips is also a very aggressive run defender who causes a lot of tackle for losses. He had 15.5 last season. This does lead him to over-aggressiveness, which causes him to lose containment on some runs. This happened especially against North Carolina, which I think was probably his worst game. So Phillips will have to clean that up in the NFL. So sticking with the theme of the Jays, the Dolphins selected safety Jayvon Holland from Oregon with their 36th overall selection. Now, even though he's listed as a safety, he's a very versatile defender, which is huge in Brian Flores' system. At Oregon in 2019, he played 591 snaps in the slot, 179 snaps as a box safety, and 24 snaps as a free safety to go along with being a punt returner. So he's a very versatile player, and he'll just be a jack of all trades in that Dolphins defense. Holland opted out of the 2020 season, but in his 2 years playing at Oregon, he intercepted 9 passes, so he's a very good ball hawk. He never really got caught with his head turned. He would always track down passes, so that's something that he's very exceptional at. One thing to look into come the rest of the offseason is the possibility of either Eric Rowe or Bobby McCain getting cut as a cap casualty. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but considering the Dolphins drafted a safety so high in this year's draft, plus they're also rumored to be looking into signing Malik Hooker, who is a current safety free agent, that's one thing to pay attention to for the rest of the offseason. So we're at about the halfway point of this video. If you enjoyed so far and if you enjoy content like this, please go ahead and like and subscribe, as that would mean so much for this growing channel. We're about 6 subscribers away from 100, so that would be a huge milestone for this young channel. Go ahead and comment down below your thoughts on the Dolphins draft so far. With that being said, let's continue the rest of the video. So with the 42nd overall pick, the Dolphins selected Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. He will come into the NFL as a left tackle, but a lot of scouts and a lot of experts are predicting a switch to the right tackle position. He is 6'5.5" and weighs 305 pounds, and he was a 2020 consensus All-American while at Notre Dame. Something fascinating that I found out that I have to share with you guys is that Eichenberg has not allowed a sack at Notre Dame since September 29th, 2018, which was only his 5th career start. So he was just incredibly consistent in his college career. So to get into what I like about Eichenberg, he fits that 300-pound plus benchmark that the Dolphins and Brian Flores and Chris Greer really like from their offensive tackles. So he's a very big and physical player. He plays physical, he's a smart player, he's great at initiating contact as well as creating holes in the run game. A lot of these moves that the Dolphins made this offseason will benefit the run game, even though they really didn't address it by adding a premier running back through the free agency and through the draft. One of the only negatives about Eichenberg is that he doesn't have particularly quick foot speed, so that's something that the Dolphins will have to correct and refine, as that could be a problem against faster edge rushers and blitzers. So moving on to the 3rd round, the Dolphins used their 81st overall selection on tight end Hunter Long from Boston College. At first, I really wasn't a huge proponent of this pick, as tight end really isn't a current need at all when looking at running back and center. There appear to be more pressing needs, but when diving into his film and really thinking about it more, I actually like this pick. Long was very productive in his college career, as in his last season at Boston College, he had 57 receptions, which led the entire FBS, to go along with 685 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. He has good hands, but he does struggle occasionally with drops, especially in contested windows. He offers a lot of upside with his blocking. That's one thing I noticed in his film. He's a very impressive and physical run blocker. One thing that I noticed about Long is that he's very versatile. He can play in the slot, he can play as an H-back, so he can play in multiple formations, and I think that's a huge positive considering that he'd likely be playing next to Mike Gesicki in a lot of formations. He's also a very physical player as a receiver, and that he likes to attack the middle of the field, and I think he'll also be a threat in the tight end screen game. That's something the Dolphins did periodically last year. A lot of misdirections and a lot of screens to tight ends. So I think we'll see the Dolphins use Long in a lot of those type of sets. So moving on from the 3rd round, the Dolphins did not have another selection to the 7th round. With the 231st selection, the Dolphins selected left tackle Larno Coleman from the University of Massachusetts. He is 6'6", 307 pounds, so again, he fits that 300-pound plus benchmark. He has good athleticism for his size. That's one thing that I really noticed from his film, is that he has a lot of upside with his athleticism. He needs to be more aggressive at the point of attack. He can often be pushed back, which could be a problem, especially against NFL-level defenders. He needs to take better angles while getting to the second level of defenses. Sometimes he would take the incorrect angle and linebackers would simply just shed past him. He's a good project for the Dolphins, who should make the roster, and hopefully he'll continue to develop as a future rotational or backup tackle in the future. To complete their draft, the Dolphins selected running back Gerrid Dokes from Cincinnati with the 244th overall selection. Last year, as a senior at Cincinnati, he had 673 rushing yards to go along with 7 touchdowns and 202 receiving yards to go along with another 2 touchdowns. Dokes will enter the NFL as a power back, considering he is 6 feet tall and weighs 230 pounds. He runs very well between the tackles. He also has very solid acceleration, but he really lacks that top level speed. So you won't see Dokes have any 70 to 80 yard touchdown runs where he's just breaking away from the defense. He's more of an in-between, get 5 to 10 yards type of running back. Like I said, he's a very good power back who I think will earn playing time early in goal-to-go and short yardage situations. He also has very good hands out the backfield. So the Dolphins last year like to use their running backs a lot in passing situations. So if that trend continues, then we could see Dokes used a lot, as he is very reliable. He is a north-south type player, so he's not a make-you-miss type of running back. He will also play a lot of third downs and passing downs, as he is a very good pass protector, which I know is something that Brian Flores and Chris Greer both like. So that's going to be it for today, guys. I just want to give a quick summary and my thoughts and opinions on the Dolphins draft. That being said, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.